everybody, Shawn Tubbs here. Welcome to my studio. I've got a great amplifier head to demo for you today. It's built by Jackson Ampworks and it's called the McFly. It's got a really innovative power section in that it allows you to choose between 6V6 tubes or 6L6 tubes. So it's going to give you a really wide array of American style tones. In the 6V6 mode, you get 20 watts of power. In the 6L6 mode, you're going to get 45 watts of power. And on top of that, you're able to combine the two sets of tubes and you get 70 watts of power. So there's a really broad spectrum in just the power section on this amplifier. Real quick, I'll go through the controls on the front. It's got volume, which is standard. The second control is called the body control. And what it does is it's a 6-position rotary that allows you to choose between different low-end frequencies. So as you have it all the way to the left, it's going to have less low end. As you sweep it to the right, it's going to have quite a bit more low end in varying degrees. And I found this to be really, really useful. It's shelved really nicely. The third control is the tone control. And that's fairly standard, but I wouldn't say it's a super toppy control. It's really, really nice in that as you roll it past 12 o'clock, not only are you adding tops, but there's a little bit of high mid presence that comes in there as well, which was really usable for me. And it also has the power scaling on it, which allows you to go from full wattage all the way down to, I believe, 1.5 watts. And it's very usable if you want to run bedroom levels all the way up to levels that you want to record with, but you don't want to bug the neighbors. A very useful circuit. There's 3 switches on the front. The first switch is the normal bright switch, and that's going to be more typical of what you would find on a Fender amplifier. The second switch is 50s and 60s switch. In 60s mode, it's going to be slightly cleaner. The amp's tone is going to be cleaner. In 50s mode, the amp is going to be a little bit more broken up, just like a tweed style amplifier would break up. And that's a really nice feature and super usable. When I got this amplifier from Brad, I was actually working on a session here at the studio, and I ended up just going ahead and plugging the amp in. And I really liked it, and I ended up using it for the rest of the session because it was just so dialable. And it was just on the fly. I could, no pun, I could just reach and just throw a switch or just change the power section or do one click on the body control, and I was there for the tones that I wanted. So I was really, really impressed with it. The other thing I will mention is the obviously the build quality of these amplifiers is beautiful, but the cabinets are just stunning. This one's in that really nice kind of lacquer tweed finish. The attention to detail from his cabinet shop is just really, really nice. For demo purposes, I'm not going to be demoing this cabinet. I'm going to go ahead and stay with my my closed back Sir cab with the Selly Vintage 30 in it, just because that's more of a standard bass line for me, and I think it's a speaker that more guys are going to be apt to have in their arsenal, or at least have heard enough to know how those sound. This cabinet was delivered with Celestion Alnico Gold, which is a beautiful sounding speaker. And once again, the cabinet sounds fabulous. I plugged it in the room and it sounds really big. This one is what I would consider a 3/4 closed back cabinet. So it's not all the way open. So it's got a little bit more low end, but it still allows for the top end to kind of sound spread out and really sweet. So very, very nice sounding cabinet. So yeah, let's check into this amplifier without further ado. It's the Jackson Ampworks McFly. Okay guys, let's get started with this Jackson Ampworks McFly amp. Right now I've got it set up in the 40 watt mode, which would be the 6L6 mode. I've got it in the 60s setting, so it's going to be a little bit cleaner than the 50s more kind of tweed setting. And right now I've got the bright switch on normal. So we'll just kind of start there. I'm going to use my PRS Dave Grissom. And let's just start with kind of a neck and middle tone, somewhat clean. So it's really sweet. It's a very American sounding amp, and you can dial it to be quite clean and just really sweet sounding. Okay, so that's a really cool, just basic, like, kind of platform clean sound is what I would consider that. Right now, with this 6-way body switch, it's, I think in the third, that would be considered the third position, yeah. Sounds great right there. Let me just sweep it all the way from the left to the right so you can kind of get just a quick idea of what's happening with that. So I'll go ahead and just play the same chord. I know, boring, but at least you can get an idea of what this switch is doing because it's really important. It's one of the coolest features on the amp. So there's all the way to the left. So just a huge variance in tone. I remember when Brad sent me this amp, I was actually on a session here, and I thought I'll just immediately plug it in and just check it out. And I ended up using it for all of the tracking. It really turned out to just be such a great little amp. And what I loved was this body control, because it allowed me to really just custom hone in where I wanted a particular sound to sit in the track, and it just made this a million different amps. So now you've got everything from a little tweed amp that like Page might have used on a Zeppelin tune, all the way to a bigger, you know, a twin sounding amp, or a blackface sounding amp, or a straight up tweed twin even. Just really, really great feature. So let's move on. Let's try just turning up the gain a little bit without touching anything else. So now I'm back position. I'll go back to the center real quick. So now there's just a little bit of hair on it. Position. Now I really like that type of tone in a track. You know, if you're really just wanting like a rock rhythm track where say the producer just says, well, I want it slightly broken up with just pads, you know, you might do like a that type of tone works so well. And say all of a sudden, well, it's a little too big. Just move the body switch over one, and you're going to get a little bit more mids and a little bit less low. Or even if you wanted to, you know, that could be your double track without even having to switch guitars. You could literally just move the body switch, double your track, pan left and right, and it's going to sound killer. So that's just, once again, a really great feature, and this is a very cool, Fender-y, American, semi-broken tone. Now if you wanted that more shimmery, then you do have the bright and normal switch. So let me just click that over really quick. So say you were more neck position tone. it's going to be brighter, and you're going to have more of that classic Fender sweet top end. So there's so many tones in this amp. Let me see if I can move a little bit quicker here. Let's go ahead and stay where we're at, but let's just go from 60s mode to 50s mode. So let me just do back position. And let me go ahead and put it back to normal on the bright switch. Okay, so now let's hit 50s without changing anything. So right away what that does is it does what I remember, you know, the old 50s kind of tweed amps doing is they break up sooner. They got a little bit more grit on them. They're a little more angry. And I ended up really loving that setting for a lot of just the once again, not super high gain, like lower American sounding gain for like a rock rhythm thing. That's for that type of stuff, it was great. If I wanted more top end, I'll just throw the bright switch without touching anything. If I need it a little bit bigger, then I'll reach for the body switch. So now there's a little bit more low end. You can still strum really soft. And it's going to clean up for you, which is really, really a nice feature. Let's move on to, let's just get into the power modes straight away. Let's go 6V6. We were on the 6L6s, which was 40 watts. Now we're going to switch to the 6V6s, which is the 20 watt mode. And let me go ahead and just do a basic clean. Now let me switch over to the 6L6 just real quick. So 6L6 is that kind of bolder clean tone. 6V6 is a little sweeter, but it's also a little bit softer. It breaks up like a 6V6 amp should, which I really, really was impressed with. Sometimes I get a little leery of amps that can, you know, just have a switch to throw between different power sections, but this thing works really, really well. And once again, that was another tone shaper in the session. Sometimes I would just go ahead and switch it to 6V6 from 6L6, and it would get me there. So it's just one of those amps. It's a 4-knob amp. Actually, when it boils down to it, it's a 3-knob amp as far as the gain and tone section is concerned. But there's just a gazillion tones you can dial up. Just great American tones. Let's try, just for the heck of it, let's put it in the center. Now in the center mode, in the power section, you're going to get 6V6 and 6L6 together, which is 70 watts according to Brad. So let's just go, let me do this. Let's go 6L6 first. And 6V6. Now let's go center. I really liked that. It just sounded really complex, almost like I had a 6V6 amp and a 6L6 amp kind of summed mono to just kind of get a blend of the two. And then you're right back into the same really cool idea of being able to just throw switches or change the body of the amp, the body switch, for all these different tones. Bright switch. A little more gain. Say that tone might be a little tubby in the mix. Just throw it over one. And you're there. You're not reaching for, okay, if I turn the bass down, what's going to happen sympathetically to my mids and all that stuff. This is really shelved proper. It's just such a great feature on the amp. So that's really the crux of this amplifier. I'll roll the tone just real quick. Let me maybe I'll put it to kind of a clean thing. I'll leave it in the center position so it's in the 70 watt mode. Roll the tone all the way from the left to the right. And I really like the way this circuit sounds because it's not a super bright tone circuit. It actually kind of adds a little bit of upper mid as you roll to the right. So here's the tone all the way to the left. Here's 12 o'clock. Here's all the way to the right. See, I can already hear that tone sitting in a track really well, like a semi-broken kind of tone. So even dimed, that's a really usable sound. The only thing I didn't mention, and we'll just try this really quick, is let's do, it's really good also as a platform for pedals. So let me see if I can just turn on a pedal real quick. I don't want to turn this into a pedal demo, but I do want to show that this amp is really good as a platform for, say, like an overdrive pedal. So there's like a basic clean. We're in 6L6 mode. We're in 50s, and we're normal switch. Let me turn on, let's turn on the Eternity pedal. It's an old pedal that I've had for a long time that was built by Love Pedal. It's the Eternity pedal, basic overdrive pedal. So you can hear, man, the amp is great for that. I really dig these style amps that work well as a platform. It's a nice clean tone, and then here's your solo tone. And the other thing I like about it too is, you know, let's, just real quick, let me throw the bright switch just so you can hear. So once again, I threw a switch. You know, if that tone was a little too dark, you can throw the bright switch, and you've got a whole nother tone palette. Really, really nice, and it does work pretty well, the bright switch. A lot of these American amps, not so much, you know, but this one does work really well. What I was going to mention before I got on the bright switch was, it also sounds great because the front end isn't so broken up. You can actually turn on a delay with it, and you won't get, you know, a distorted signal into a delay, hearing a distorted signal, and then overdriving the amp. It just ends up making your delay sound really kind of ruckusy. But in this case, there's the delay. It's just a plain old line 6 delay. to just turn on a delay and not feel like I gotta go into you know, the effects loop on the amp or something like that. So that's really this amp, man. I'm super impressed with it. The power scaling works really well. I think it'll bring you all the way down to 1.5 watts. Really nice. So obviously everything from bedroom levels all the way up to you know, like softer recording levels where you don't want to bug the neighbors but you need some tone. Works really well. So I hopefully haven't missed anything on this amp. It's a 2 input, so if you did want to have a slightly cleaner input, the lower input is going to be cleaner. I think that's it. So man, I hope you guys enjoyed this demo. I hope I didn't go too long. There was just so many features on this amp that I wanted to get to on it. So man, if you've got any further questions about this amplifier, go to Jackson Ampworks and ask away. They're really sweet people. They'll answer any questions you may have about the product. And once again, as always, thanks for checking out my demos, and I'll have some more on the way soon. All right, you guys, take care.